So again, we have our function declaration here. We're going to skip that since we're not using it just yet. And now we're checking to see if the post action variable is set, which this time it is. And we're going to check to make sure that the action variable is randomize. Now what we're doing here is adding some future proofing to our form, just in case we add some additional forms later on. So we're checking to make sure that the action is randomized. That way, if we add a new form that has a new action variable, we'll make sure to skip triggering this code here. So both of these conditions are going to return true, so this if statement code will run. This next line here is a for loop. We explored this in a previous video. We're setting the I incrementer to 1 to begin with, and the condition we're checking is to see whether it's less than or equal to 3, and every time the loop runs, we're going to add 1 to that number. So the idea here is that for every token that we have to replace, we're going to run this code, and we have 3 tokens with 3 sets of replacements. So this for loop is basically just set to run 3 times. We're setting I to 1 instead of the traditional 0 because that will correspond to the number that's used in the actual inputs. Remember, we had token underscore 1 and token underscore 2. So ultimately, we're going to use this function up here called replace tokens with randomness, which will take a string and then an array of possible replacements. But in order to get those replacements, we need to take this string of possible replacements that are separated with commas and explode it. But we also want to make sure that the user hasn't added some extra spaces after the comma or at the end of the replacement string. So we're going to do some cleaning up as part of our processing down here. We're going to store our replacement array in an array called trimmed replacements. This is how we know that these ones have been cleaned and all of the white space has been removed on the ends. We're initializing this as an array. Next, what we're going to do is take a set of replacements and explode it by the comma. So again, what explode will do is take our string, explode it at these different points where a comma is found, and return an array of each of those different parts with the comma removed. Now the first time we run this, I is going to be equal to 1. So what we're checking here is the replacements underscore 1 key in the post array. Now if we scroll down to our form code, we would see that correspond to this input right here, replacements underscore 1. So now if we take the values that we inserted earlier into the form, the token was person, and the possible replacements included friend, foe, tomato, and space cadet. So the array replacement array now contains an item for each one of those potential replacements. Next, what we're going to do is loop through each one and make sure that it's cleaned up. That is, no extra spaces exist on either side of each replacement value. So we're going to loop through the replacement array, and then we're going to pull out the value as the replacement variable, and then we're going to create a new array called trimmed replacements, and we're simply going to add a new item to the array by using empty square brackets. And then we're going to run trim on this value here in order to remove the white space. Once we have all our trimmed replacements, what we're going to do is begin to build our replacements, which is what we're going to pass to the replace tokens with randomness function. Now up here, if we scroll up just a little bit, we'll see an example of the structure of this replacements array. You see it's an array, and it includes keys that are the tokens, and then the values of each key is an array with the potential replacements. So if we go back down here in our code, we're creating this replacements array, we're setting the key to the token value. Now this will be the post value with the key of token underscore 1 the first time this runs, which we inputted as the all capitals person, and then we're going to set the value to the trimmed replacements array. So that was the first time this loop ran. The second time it runs, the I will equal 2. We're going to go ahead and explode the replacements for the second replacement input. Now remember, our token for this one was object, and then the replacements were things like worm, olive, and toe jam. And then we're going to loop through each item in there and get rid of that extra white space, and then add it to the replacements array. The token being the all capitals object, and the trimmed replacements being all of those potential replacements for the object token. And then finally, we're going to loop through this one more time. This time the token is place, and our replacement values include things like head and elbow. We're going to convert the string into an array using explode. Then we're going to loop through each item and clean it up, removing the white space. And then we're going to add that array with the token of place to the replacements array. And then our for loop is done. This last line here is where we run the replace tokens with randomness function, and we take the string that got posted into the form. Now again, this lines up with the string input that's to the right of string with tokens text in our form, and then our replacements that we constructed through this code right here. So let's take a quick look at our replace tokens with randomness function again. Now this is identical to the previous example where we used a random generator, but the code is worth reviewing briefly. Again, this takes the original string with tokens, and then the replacements, which is an array that includes both the keys for the tokens, and then the value, which is an array of potential replacements. In the function, we loop through each replacement and we pull out the token and the replacement array. We're then going to grab a random replacement, and the way we do that is by running array flip on replacement array in order to flip the keys and the values, and then we're going to grab a random value from it using array rand. So the first time this runs, the token will be person, and the replacement array will include the tomato space cadet options. We grab one of those options, and then we use the function string replace in order to replace the token with the replacement string we just grabbed in the string. And then we're going to loop through this 3 times because that's how many replacements there are. And then we're going to return the ultimate value, which we're printing here at the top of the page, wrapped in strong tags. Once that's all printed, then we're going to go ahead and print the form again. In our next video, what we're going to do is extend this a bit further and allow the user to set the number of tokens that they want to replace inside of the string to an indefinite amount.